Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Monday. It's April 10th. This will be our chart lesson for the day, and we're still just kind of working sideways. This was a big reversal type day. I mean, we opened up here and traded way, way down here. It's about 20 to 4. It looks like we might try to close on the high before it's over. So that's a big upward day. That's a lot of buying to recover from all that selling early on. Of course, a lot of this came during the overnight. Um, I mean, that's generally what happens. We get a big move in one direction or the other in the overnight, and during the day, they were send it back the other direction before it's over, or else the market recovers before the day's over. Um, Interesting day, really. Uh, we're already pushing back into. We're not quite really into overbought territory yet. We're close, but we're not there yet. With this little correction gave us some relief, and it looks like we're just work. This just looks like congestion. We're just working sideways. So if we get some follow through tomorrow, we may make another new high. We'll just have to see what happens. But this market's not through going up yet. So I mean, it could be that we're just in a range and we're going to work from the highs to the lows to the highs to the lows for a while, and that may be what we see. So I guess I'd rather see that than another huge sell-off. Although I just don't know if we're out of the woods yet or not. Um, I mean, those last lows were down here around 3,600. So we're way off of that. So we got a long way to go if we're going to make a new low. And so I just don't know. I mean, we're just chopping sideways, really. And we're chopping sideways in the upper part of a big move that we just made. So we'll have to see what the market brings. This is really Monday and Friday for me. I told you I'll be taking the rest of this week off. Um, I hate to take a week off after uh, having already missed some days with my health issues and so forth. But I have had this planned a long time, and so there's no going back on it. So I'm going to go ahead and take the week off, and I need it anyway. I've got a lot going on between. Most of you probably, unless you're new here, you know my mother had a stroke not long ago, so I'm spending a lot of time having to help her, and she's struggling and really having a hard time accepting the fact that her life has changed, and so I'm dealing with that, and then dealing with some health issues of my own with my, having the cancer spots removed from my ear and so forth. But anyway, other than that, I'm doing great. Um, and I'm going looking forward to having a week off and kind of getting a break. So you guys will be on your own the rest of this week. Again, I hate to leave you for another week so quickly, but I've had this plan a long time, and I'm not going to change it. And then I've got one more vacation planned for May, my Alaska trip. So that's not, but maybe I think that's about a month away as well. So I'll be going again for another week, and I may take another vacation or two during the summer before it's over. But I don't have anything planned at this point, so I don't plan on going anywhere for a little bit after that. But we'll see. It may just be the usual stuff, Memorial Day and July 4th, that kind of thing. So after that, but anyway, let's get to the chart lesson. You can see we it looks like a big range day is what it looks like, but we closed so close to the high on the daily chart. This looks like a reversal day. So there's a lot of strong buying. So if we get some follow through tomorrow, we may be going higher. We'll just have to see what happens. I mean, we could just be stuck in this little congestion, and tomorrow we may work down or sideways again. We may just continue to work sideways. So we'll see what happens. But as of today, this looks a little like a reversal day. So we'll see if we got a break above this bar and some follow through trading tomorrow. That would be a second entry on this chart, and we may shoot on up higher and test these highs again. So we'll see what happens. Um, but that's the way it looks as of today. So let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart. You can get a look at it. Again, right now, there's still 15 minutes left in the day, so it could change some. I don't expect it'll change much, but it looks like a big range day, and we closed at the high on the highs of the range. That's pretty much what it looks like. Although, again, this looks like a reversal day. So tomorrow will tell the tale if this is just a range and we're chopping in this congestion, or if this was a reversal day and we're going to push higher again. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. But let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart, take a look, go through the trades. Not a lot of trades today. volume seems kind of low today actually, but let's flip over there and take a look. Okay, here we are, and you can see the big sell-off last night, and then at 8 o'clock we just kind of started working sideways, and we did break high. We did end up making this somewhat of a channel up, but this was really probably more playable as a range. And so when we broke out of this pink area, you'd look for a measured move up, which is we got a little bit more than that, and had this big sell-off, and then suddenly prices found a bottom here, the middle of this range, original range, and this is a spiking channel up, and it's just strengthened into the close. So that's some strong buying. That's a lot of buying coming in there. Although this is real choppy type buying, it's still a nice channel here with a clear to see. Trend line got confirmed right here. Nice setup on the second entry. This was a nice, a fairly decent trading afternoon. Well, there's not a lot of trades after 11. There's really only 2 here, but there's not a lot of volume here, as you can see. The volume kind of slowed down after about 11 o'clock. Usually we have more volume than this in the afternoon lately, but not today. So this just could be. We'll just have to see again what tomorrow brings. It's really hard to know what the market's going to do every day. You just have to pretty much come in here and see what the market gives you and follow it each day lately. Because there's no rhyme or reason. I mean, I really thought we might get another leg down here today and get some follow-through selling, but nope, this thing found the bottom. It wants to go higher. And you can't argue with the market, so you just flip-flop and you go with it. And that's really all you can do. And you can see not a lot of trades here today. So it won't take long to do this chart lesson. Let's zoom in here to 7 o'clock, and we'll wrap this day up. And 7 o'clock came just as it's kind of turning over right here. And that's a big, huge bearish bar. But it's so far away from the EMA, you just can't risk a trade there. And then, of course, we bottom out here. And the market was really weak at this point. Rather than correcting back to the trend line, it just kind of works sideways to down back to the trend line. And what you really get is another, let me just use a line here. You just get another kind of trend line across there. So when you get this big bearish bar right back off the original trend line and right off of this trend line, I think you just about have to take that. I marked it green. It's not an engulfing bar, so you really couldn't enter it till it closed. You might have actually considered this bar. It's like 5 ticks. And so you might have just entered there. If you entered here, I would want to let it break lower and then back up a little, and you can see it never breaks lower. And so that gives me some concern about this going lower. But as long as you got room to get out before here, when this breaks lower, you may still take that trade. But really the better spot where I would enter, even though it looks like kind of a neutral type bar, and a big strong sell off like this, right off 2 key entry points that converge right there, I'll probably take that. You're only risking 5 ticks. By the time you enter and you get your stop 1 tick, it's maybe 7 ticks. But still, I think it's very low risk in this market today and such a strong sell off. So there it is. We continue to stay way away from the EMA. You don't want to buy down here yet, in my opinion. This is real tempting, but there's no rejection down here until here, and you don't really, and when you would enter, there is no rejection. So you just kind of wait, and you get this break outside and a move to a new high. It looks a little congested, so it'll probably come back to the EMA at a very minimum. So I like that one just to ride that back to the EMA after this little trend channel plays out. You're better off to wait on the lower high, which comes here. I went back and forth about whether this one should be green, but I like that trade. It kind of makes a double top across there as well. Then you get the lower high here. That's the better place to go short. And of course, you get your trend channel here, break, new low, and then it reverses out of there. Again, I just don't, I mean, to me, there's not enough space in there to count this as a triple test. So to me, this is just a double bottom. And that's an inside bar. Again, it's kind of small, 6 ticks, but and it's just not that far away from the EMA, and you might tick up and turn down and get another leg down. So I just don't think you can enter that without a triple test. And of course, it runs up, you get a break, and then it makes a few swings to a new high. This thing's just swinging on higher, so you really can't go short up here. I think it's too risky. Wait and see if you get a lower high or something, and you get a failed second entry long here. It's also a second entry short. It's a little congested, but the fact that you tried to go higher twice, and I like going short right there. You should move on down here and probably, I really thought it would test these previous lows, but as long as you had room to get out between here and here, I think you're okay to take that trade. And you can see it went to about that spot and then backed up, but you would have already been out, and it wouldn't have mattered. It went lower anyway. But that's the concern right there. That's the concern. So you want to have enough room to get out before here, because look what happens. It gets there and it bounces. You always want to be looking ahead at how much room you've got to scalp out. And you know, somebody probably say, well, what about these two? Yeah, that's a concern. But I think this is the one you really had to worry about, because we couldn't get through the EMA 4 different tries there. And that was a pretty good move. So we're probably going to get another leg down and maybe a measured leg. So it ends up bouncing there. Runs back up again. I don't see any reason to go long, because you're kind of, at this point, you're really kind of playing this pink channel. You haven't, until it pushed on higher here, you really just don't know what's going on. So you're kind of playing this pink channel. And you can see it just keeps on going, though. And then you can say, okay, well, maybe there is a green channel here. But you'll probably still look for a measured move here first. And what this is just a measured move based on the original width of this channel. And this one runs on up. You actually get a second entry right there, but everything's still inside that channel. So I'd wait. And then you try to go higher once, twice, and fail. And you're way away from the EMA, and now you got a new high, though. So you got the break and new high. I like going short just to try to ride it back to the EMA, and maybe we're going to the other side. And, of course, we do go to the other side. And maybe we go all the way back down to these lows here. But it bounces again right off the key entry point. No real setup there, and it runs straight up to the other side. And unfortunately, there's a high or low right here that maybe you consider. It looks a little sideways and congested there, and there's not much room to that high. Maybe there's enough room to scalp out on that one, but we could be going all the way back up to this high. So it's one that maybe you could argue to at least be green. And of course, you get your break here. You get a second entry long, but not a good enough signal bar to trade that. Runs up. And again, that one's tempting, because now you got a break and a couple of legs up. So it's another one that maybe you take. But I'd wait on that lower high right here. If it breaks below that, we're probably headed back down to this side. And again, maybe now that you've made a measured move and a little bit more, we might run all the way back to here, and we might run all the way back to here, and we could run all the way back to even here. And that thing just drops like a rock. And of course, you got to close outside here at a new low, and then you make a higher low with still plenty of room back to test this original support resistance. Notice we pushed through there and we didn't pull back and test it yet. We also probably will pull back and test the EMA at a minimum. And so I like going long there just to try to ride it back to there. This thing just keeps going. So that might have been the trade of the day right there. It's a little aggressive, but this is all played out, and we've bounced off that midline a couple of times over here. This really does turn out to be a nice move. And this just turns out to be that big spike in channel that I mentioned to you. It spikes up, and it kind of continues to work up here, and then it's just kind of working sideways. I don't think you want to go short up here. That's a big move. Even though we got a break of the green channel and a big move higher, you want to make sure we're done to the upside before you try getting short. And I think you're just taking it. It would have worked if you went short there, but I like trading the breakout and trying to trade this back, hoping that maybe we go higher still. And we do. You probably don't get a runner on this. But then notice what happens. You get a first entry, second entry, so another second entry long, and you're making higher lows there each time. And that's a big reversal. It breaks lower first and turns up. I like going long there. Of course, it doesn't go very far before it turns back down, but it would have worked. It's a little aggressive because there's not a whole lot of room back to the highs. But if you see the channel, which you should have drawn it off those first two swings, you see there's plenty of room for that. So that's probably going to be the target. But you got to still have a little concern about these highs. So for that reason, that one's a little bit aggressive. And of course, you get two legs back and a second entry long right here. I don't think you want to go long above that bar, but when you get the green one right off the trend line and that confirms it, I like going long one tick above it. And that's a quick move up. Then we're working back down, close outside, move to a new low, and there's not much left there till we kind of work into the 230. So that one's tempting. But the problem is we haven't got back to the other side, and we've been clearly going back and forth. So the odds are we're coming back down here before we go higher again. And there's a good chance that it breaks higher back to the EMA and then turns back down and gets the break in two legs, which that's pretty much what happens. It really works sideways for a bit, so you really couldn't go long right there. I mean, it's only 4 ticks, but it's just too risky that close to the EMA. If you look here, you've only got 3 ticks, and it only went, well, believe it or not, it got exactly enough ticks to scalp out 6 ticks. But I think it's just too risky because you're really measuring back to the EMA. You don't know if it'll push through there or not. And you were expecting prices should probably come back down here, so it could just tick higher and turn down instantly. And you see you had to kind of ride out another little turn down before it went on high enough. So anyway, I wouldn't enter there. I just think it's too risky. And that's how I saw it. Again, not a lot of volume this afternoon. The whole day doesn't have a whole lot of volume. No news items today. Nothing to really affect the market other than just, buyers and sellers. So no real news item to come in there and kind of shake things up today. But anyway, that's how I saw it. And just, like I said, there's not a lot of as much volume, so not as many trades today. A lot of mixed trading early before we got into this spiking channel. And then there were only really a couple of decent setups there off that. So anyway, that's how I saw it. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to wrap it up, and I'm going to wrap this week up. I won't have much access to email, so if you would, hold your trading questions, please. And I'll try to check the board or check the my email for any kind of emergencies, but I'm going to be limited on where I'm going. I've got very limited email access, so I may not have much chance to answer anything while I'm gone. But if there's an emergency or something and I can get to my email, I will check it for emergencies. And otherwise, I hope you have a great week this week. We'll see what the rest of the week brings. Usually when I go on vacation, I don't even look at the market. It's just a chance for me to kind of get a break from it. So, but I'm curious to see if we get any follow through tomorrow. So I may check tomorrow just to see if there was any follow through trading and this thing rockets on up again. If it does, y'all get a piece of it. If it rockets down, get a piece. Whatever it does, try to get your part of the daily movement. And I'll see you a week from today, next Monday. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll see you in a week. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.